Hey, Ask a Photo Pro is brought to you by Carty Crew Merch. A little bit more on that later. We are almost at 12,000 subscribers, my guys and girls. Welcome. If you're new and you subscribed recently, glad you're here. Emerging photographers can benefit greatly from having work, their eyes, my eyes on your work. You can benefit greatly. And the thing that's great is that I'm able to help you see stuff in your work that you're not going to see on your own. And I'm going to also help you make the steps to fix those mistakes. Stay with me today as I bring you expert analysis and in-depth evaluations of viewer submitted images. That's you, offering valuable insights, constructive feedback, and actionable tips to enhance your photography skills. Each photographer that submits, by the way, I will let you know which one of your photographs I think is your best photo. And after I've looked at all of this week's photos, I choose what I believe is the photo of the week. So if you've submitted and you've made it before my 6 o'clock deadline, by the way, 6 o'clock is the cutoff time. If you're submitting pictures and it's after 6 o'clock, we look at them next week. All right. I understand the importance, by the way, of continual growth and improvement when it comes to the art of photography. So this episode is for passionate hobbyists, seasoned enthusiasts, or new emerging professionals. I'm trying to help you unlock the potential within your photography so you can take your pictures to the next level. And it's important to know that it takes courage to have your photographs reviewed. But for those of you who've never been to photography school, know that when I went to photography school, I went to Ryerson, which is the best photography school in my country. Your work is critiqued in a classroom setting individually, and your work goes up on the wall. Everybody sees everything, and the teacher goes through photographer after photographer and does his review, and everybody hears it. So how I review you here on my show is the same way that I was reviewed when I was in photography school, and I'm adopting that style of photography reviews for you here on YouTube, which is going to help you get to that next level. All right, so it takes courage, but for those that you're about to see that are participating in my live critique, you're going to see the insights that I'm going to put through for them. You're going to see how they can improve their work, and then you can go out and improve your work. Even if you don't have the courage yet to submit your photographs, I highly suggest that you do. It all starts by joining the Discord. My Discord is the place that everybody who watches this channel hangs out. If you're a member, by the way, and not in my Discord, you got to join the Discord for sure. I firmly believe that constructive criticism plays a vital role in the growth of any photographer. And if you're trying to grow, you're in the right spot. This podcast is brought to you by Carty Crew Merch.
Every piece you see, designed by the photographer you're currently watching. And let me let you in on a little secret. Meticulously hand-stitched by the arthritic grandmothers of our very own viewers.
Well, what?
This creative community inspired this entire line. Your zeal for artistry, your tireless dedication, and your individuality shines in every stitch and design. This isn't just another piece of clothing, it's a badge of honor for every creator out there. From what I see here, they are mostly just black t-shirts and hoodies, but you do you boo. You actually want me to read the rest of this script?
Oh my God, who is this guy?
From the nuanced patterns to the vibrant colors, everything has been designed keeping in mind the creative soul that lies within each one of us. Wow. Who wrote that? There isn't a single pattern, not one.
Oh my God, leave the commentary.
There is hardly any nuance. But it says here, this merch represents more than just apparel. It's an emblem of our shared passion for creativity. Who wrote this? What absolute twaddle.
Wow, this guy's a great supporter.
All of this stuff is kinda basic, to be honest, but I'll keep that to myself.
Okay. Never
Wear it with
trust
pride.
a voiceover.
Let the world know you're a part of something bigger. A photographer on YouTube's clothing collection that he actually has the balls to make a commercial about.
Okay, what is going
what
on?
I meant to say is, a collective of photographers that celebrates and uplifts every form of creativity. I am aware, as the narrator, I'm not allowed to insert my own narrative. But, holy moly, this is horrible.
Wow.
Join the movement, embrace your creative spirit with Carty Crew merch. And yes, he is really calling this a movement. Be proud of your passion for photography. Be proud of your creative life. If photography is your life, flaunt it. The one paying for this advertisement has asked me to make a toast. Isn't this a podcast? Okay, it'll cost you another 20. Let's raise a toast to every photographer, artist, and creative out there. Thanks for being a part of this journey.
This guy's so
Did that suit
patronizing.
you? That was absolutely ridiculous. Please don't make me read anything like that again.
Back to the show. You guys like that? All right, guys, you ready for your favorite time of the week where we get into live photography reviews? It's my favorite time of the week. By the way, how I do these is I don't look at the photo review folder until the second that I'm about to do my live show. I like to see these as I go. Like, I like to be surprised. I like to not have a clue what it is that I'm about to see, and then boom, I get to see it. You get my honest reactions right away. And by the way, if you decide to become a member, you get the smoke. I have the smoke queued up and ready. If you've never seen the smoke, become a member. And also, if you're watching live and not a member, you'll notice that you don't have access to the chat. The live chat is for members only. If you want to submit your photographs, just follow what this thing is saying right here. It gives you all the instructions. All right, let's get into our first submission. Our first submission comes from a photographer from the UK. Let's go. By the way, guys, you with me still? You with me? Yeah? You having a good time? You having a good time? I hope so. All right, let's get into today's first photographer. His name is Puppet Master. Puppet Master has submitted some photography for us to look at. This is the first shot from Puppet. This is great, Puppet. Really great. Really strong. I like the fact that you really have a strong cover composition here. If you look at this as a cover, it's super strong. If you look at how the background is darker and it really contrasts what she's wearing, her outfit versus the background, the texture that you have happening in the bench, the leading line from her legs, the way that you have her hands, all of this just works for this photograph. I'm really actually quite impressed, mister. And I don't mean actually in a bad way. I mean actually in the best way possible. This is really, really, really strong. I want you to watch just your feet here. Just make sure that you're not getting to the point where the toes are going to cut off. There's a couple of bright things back here that I would take away that just are taking your eye away from our main picture. Small things here, Puppet, but this is really, really strong work. You should be very happy. That is Puppet's first photograph. Let's go. First photo of the day. Our next photo from Puppet. Puppet, this is strong. I can see here in this picture you're using on-camera flash. What happens when we use on-camera flash is it puts this pin highlight right in the center of their eye. And also because you're using on-camera flash, it gives you like this strange shadow that kind of trails exactly what the eye sees, which you see right there on her face. The exposure is just a little bit hot, like meaning it's a little high on her skin here, but still I see the idea. It's a great idea. I love how you brought the leaves in the foreground and you have the same leaves in the background, which gives you like a three-dimensional feeling. I like the leading line that the black hair creates, which kind of brings you up and around her body. the expression on her face, she's a little unsure, which you can see in her lips. Like, we hold all our unsurety or insecurities in our mouth and in our fingers. So as photographers, you really have to not only be watching the eyes when we're shooting, we also have to watch the mouth. This picture looks like she's just a touch unsure. And also your depth of field has it so this eye is super sharp, but this eye is just a little bit out of focus because you're shooting a little bit shallow. I know the light was gone for this picture, which is obviously why you did the pop-up, but I would suggest bumping the ISO a little bit and doing it with ISO rather than flash, unless you're going to get your flash off camera. Let's look at another one from the one they call Puppet. This picture, we're losing a little bit of light in here. She's moving, and I definitely appreciate that. But because of it being really quite bright back here, and you're aiming into a backlit situation, your camera wants to make this the exposure, which it actually did. So back here is normal. But when you look at the exposure on the skin exposure is under about 2/3 of a stop. So it makes the things that are white in this picture look gray. Like this picture, this is supposed to be white, this is supposed to be white, this is supposed to be white. It makes that stuff look gray, and it makes her skin look a little muddy. And then overall, it makes this low contrast. So you have to expose for in here, and then let the background blow out, and then bring the background back in using highlight shadow recovery in post. Let's look at another one from our man Puppet. Last photo from Puppet. Because we have so many submissions, and I'm noticing that we're now starting to get real submissions. Like, people are joining, people are wanting to submit their photographs. If that's you, amazing. I totally appreciate it. I think that now that we're getting so many submissions, and my last submission episode was over 2 hours, I think we need to limit the amount of photographs per photographer to 3. Instead of 5, let's make it 3. If you want to have more than 3 photographs looked at, just post it to Just Chatting. But as far as the submission folders, if we keep it to 3, it'll move it along quicker, and I'll be able to look at more photographers' work per episode. Stay with me. If you guys agree with me, give me a hell yeah. All right, let's look at another photograph from our man Puppet. I think the chin is too high in this photograph. This feeling of the chin being up like this just gives me that, like, I don't know, it's not flattering to be looking up nostrils and under the chin. She has such a strong jawline. It would suit her better to have her face like a little bit more turned down, a little bit more this way rather than this. You can just see the shape of the face is so much nicer when it's down. You'll hear me constantly head down, head down, head down. I'm constantly correcting and bringing the model's head down so it's at the right eye line. And you can see here your first photograph where it is at the right eye line, just how much stronger and how much more flattering it is for this girl versus her head when it's up like that. So this one, the background is cool. It's textured. But the fact that it's just the pose for me is not strong. Looking at these 3-4 photos, I am going to say that your first picture, this one here, is what I would say easily is your best photo. Well done, Puppet. And again, look at it as a cover, super strong. This is your best photo for sure. Those are photographs from our man Puppet Master, all the way from the UK. Let's go. Next, Kura. Finally, Kura submits some photos. Kura says this. This is my first photo submission. I shot the first photo with the zebras with my first camera, Nikon D3500. For the rest, I used my recently bought Nikon Z7 II with a 28-70. Self-portrait settings. Oh yeah, and for the self-portrait, f8, 3 seconds, ISO 160. All right, let's go Kura. Zebras are beautiful. This is Kura's early photography. This is really strong, Kura. I really love the leading line. The crop, everything about this photograph really works for me. I think that you could use a little bit more contrast. It feels a little gray in the whites where you're seeing these stripes. It's just a little muddy, and I know they're not perfect white, but I feel like we can get a little bit more of them, like the highlights are up here, and down here where it's shadow detail, just bring up a little bit of exposure, and I think that you'll find this picture pops a little bit more. But this is definitely beautiful and great for your first submission. This is great. Great. All right, let's look at another. All right, Kura. This is really beautiful. Really beautiful. I do believe you said this is a self-portrait. This is really strong. I really like the feeling of this photograph. It's really delicate. It has like a film feeling. It has almost a, how you call it, like a fiber-based print kind of a feeling. When you're shooting now with your Z camera, you got to make sure that you're locking the eyes in focus, and particularly the close eye, the eye that's here. Right now we have the rear eye in focus, and because our rear eye is in focus, we're actually noticing the like sleepy dust that you have in your eyelashes. Because this is so sharp and so in focus, I can't help but notice this stuff. So again, just in post-production, you can do this in Lightroom using the healing brush. It's super easy to heal that stuff. Looking at the image though, it's really strong. Looking at it as a cover, it's really strong. It's composed well. I think, secondly, just with your light, I do believe that your light is coming in just a little bit too much from the top. The reason that I say that is because of where your shadows are falling underneath your eye. Your shadows are falling just a little bit hard, so you're ending up getting these shadows that are happening under there. I know you likely have a little bit of natural darkness under your eye, but I actually see from the ridge of your eye here how it's creating a bit of a shadow. It's also creating the shadows on the edges of your nose, and where your nose shadow is going down, it's coming down quite low, so much so that it's touching your mouth. And when the light, when the shadow is coming down so harsh that it actually touches your mouth, that means your light is too high because of how much it's ridging your eye and creating this extra shadow. Too high because of how your eyeball is actually creating another shadow underneath. It's cool because it does give you that like rock jaw kind of butterfly lighting, but you can achieve that same feeling without going so extreme with the light. I hope that helps you. That is Kura. Let's look at another. This is another from Kura. This is great. I like the mood here and the feeling. This is underexposed. And the reason that this is underexposed is because likely this is you shooting in the studio using artificial light, likely flash, without a light meter. And when you use flash without a light meter and you just wing it with your exposure, 9 out of 9 times you're going to be off. And this is a scenario where your skin here is underexposed. I would call this half a stop. Up here, which is the main, obviously you're using negative light and bringing in light in here, but you need to have the exposure right on the hands and on the forehead. And this up here is under about 2/3 of a stop. So also the back arm is in focus, not the front arm. I know that this is the main focus of the thing, but because there's not like a little bit of reflector kicking in there and just giving us just a little bit of detail, it makes us feel like we're missing something, and we end up just looking at another picture. Like we're trying to hold people's attention. I also feel like the highlight that's coming in on this head is too low as far as exposure. This is at like almost at par, or this is closer to what the exposure should be here. So again, when you're in the studio trying to do light ratios in a multiple light setup without a light meter, it is literally impossible. You can do it so much faster, so much better, so much more accurate with a light meter. It's a $500 piece of kit. You buy it once, you have it for the rest of your life, and then your studio light just looks so much better. All you need to do is look at my website. All right, let's look at another one. This next one is the same. It's the same exposure issues as the previous one, Kura. This is the same exposure issues exactly. Looking at the whole picture here, I'm also seeing there's like he's wet, or there's some gel or like gelatin or glycerin or something on his body. And the way that you're bringing the light in, when you just look at it like this, it looks like this is a mistake. It looks like this is digital noise on the file. So only when you look at it closer do you see, oh, okay, I see this is supposed to be there. This is actually a highlight from the liquid. But the way that it's rendered and the way that it's lit, when you look at it at this side, it's not it. And also, your placement of the light is hitting his chest more than it's hitting his face. Like, I can see the angle of the light is hitting here, and it's actually fall off that's hitting his face. So again, the exposure is closer here, but it's still under at least a third of a stop. The exposure here is under 2/3 of a stop, or possibly even a stop. I don't mind him walking through the shadow and seeing him come through the light. The hand on the chin, just that whole, like, just that pose in general is kind of a pose that nobody does this in real life. So it looks very deliberate and kind of fake. So like a different pose, just him crossing his arms, you know, without touching his face, just gives a different kind of a powerful dynamic. Soon as he touches its face, it makes it feel hokey. And that's something, like, as a photographer, we have to control. We have to be telling our subjects, don't touch your face, turn your head this way, drop your chin, like these kinds of directions, because our subjects don't know what they look like. We can't just let our subjects go. A light meter, in this case, again, it's a light meter. This is what would make this picture so much better. And again, looking at, if you're shooting men, look at Men's Vogue, look at details, look at men's magazines, look at photographers that specialize in shooting men editorially, and then that's going to help you shoot men and know how to pose them. And then let's look at this, which I believe is a self-portrait. Is this the self-portrait, Kura, wherever you may be? Kura, is this the self-portrait? I really like this. This is one of my favorites. It's really moody. Like, this is artful. Artful. Artful, artful, artful. This is really, really special. I love, 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 love this photo. Like, this is great. The fact that there seems to be a double exposure, there seems to be like two of you here. I don't even mind the color balance. Like, the color balance is a little bit off because obviously this is like white. This is white lace. But it feels like a little bit beigey, yellowy, which you can correct in color balance. I wouldn't mind feeling this or seeing this like a little bit blue or a little bit of a cold tone. I have a hard time with the warm tone. That's really my only issue. But other than the color balance, which you can easily fix in post, this is an absolute banger. Like, I really think that that picture is special. Wowzer, 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 wowzer. So I am, like I like to do, going to give what I call a your best photo. Wow, it is really tricky here, Kura. It really is kind of tricky here, Kura. It is really tricky here. And it's between 2 photos for you. And I'll say again, it's between 3 photos for you. I have to give acknowledgement of this photo. I have to say that this picture is just absolutely incredible. The fact that it's older, I'm not going to rank it the same way that I rank the newer work, but I do want to give you love for this zebra photo because it's absolutely gorgeous. But the other 2 that I think are just absolutely special. One, I pointed out a little bit of technical lighting things, but I think it's really, really magic, which is this picture. So I'm going to give you love for this picture as well. This is really, really beautiful. There's the exposure is way closer on this photo. And then it comes to what I will call your best photo. And that photo is this picture right here, Kura. This is absolutely amazing. Absolutely, absolutely, easily your best photo. Like, just beautiful. Really beautiful. The fact that it's a self-portrait makes it even more special. Really strong. Guys, that is photography. Here we are. There we go. That is photography from Kura. I hope you enjoy. By the way, if you guys like this type of photography review and you want to have your photos reviewed like Kura and our man Puppet, consider joining the Discord. Consider becoming a member.
Yes, sir, yes.
That's the best way to have this whole thing streamlined. All right. Let's get into our next photographer. Explora PA. Took these on a walk to Woodcock Dam while I was at work today. These are from 4 days ago. Let's look at photographs from Exploras. These are really beautiful. Really pretty. Really pretty. There's a couple of composition things, a couple of framing things that I want you to note. Just the way that the horizon, the shoreline is what I'm trying to say. I would love that shoreline to come in exactly on that corner. And that's something that's so easy to do. All you need to do is just shift yourself that way, but be very wary of the corners, because then now you have that horizon or that shoreline just pushing you right from that disciplined corner. As well, the second thing is the way that this is clipping is really tricky. So it's like finding a place where you can cut this frame without making your eye feel like you want to see more. My suggestion is cutting it like somewhere in and around here. And I'm just going to zoom in just a little bit just to show you what that composition could look like if you... Now, again, I'm going to have to crop it a little bit in order to do that. But if you can see now, when it's coming in and the bottom is right at that corner, it gives you, it's just like a nicer, pleasing vibe to the eye. And also, you can kind of punch in a little bit more and make it less about the sky and more about this shoreline. And that is also like, I mean, this is a little claustrophobic for me. I need it to be a little bit more balanced. But you can see how there's other crop possibilities. There's so many other crop possibilities when it comes to shooting these types of photographs. But this is a strong, and especially the sky. The sky is super powerful. The leaves, the changing leaves, the color of the water, the reflections. There's so many details here that are really strong. I really like this. This is a good one. Let's look at another. This detail, I like it. I feel like the saturation is just a little bit extra. Like, it's really, I mean, I know this is what the colors are, but when you push your saturation past 0, you start to get like weird data things. And this red is like, it's at a hue that's just not realistic. And these leaves and the way that your sensor is trying to reconcile the colors in here is starting to get a little bit messy. So although this is a cool scene, I feel like the way that the tree has dropped, it's not balanced. Like, you have it cutting through this way, where I would try to go and have the tree cutting more diagonal through the whole frame, like corner to corner. And again, it's just your post-production. There's a little bit of motion blur that's happening in the There's a little bit of motion blur that's happening in here, which has to do with how steady you're holding your camera or your shutter speed. Again, it's watch your processing. Try not to go so far. And this is the motion blur that I'm speaking about. So again, it's a tricky thing because this is the main center of your picture. When you're looking at that main center of the picture, you see that motion blur. It only starts to get in focus, like kind of over here. So again, watch your saturation, watch how far you're pushing your colors in post. I mean, bumping saturation to like crazy levels is something that was definitely a thing, but nowadays you'll see saturation is way more realistic. It's way more normal. Okay, this picture here, I'm feeling like you're bumping your contrast a little bit much, a little bit extra. And there's also just I think like an overall lack of sharpness. Now, I don't know whether this is the quality of the lens, if you're shooting with the kit lens, if you're shooting with the zoom lens, but when you're really looking in and zooming in on these photos of this girl, you can see it's not very sharp. I mean, yes, that's zooming in quite a small fraction of the picture, but when you have a photograph like this and you have subjects that are relatively central and everything is in focus from front to back, there becomes like no real main focus of the picture. So this thing here is like this piece of cement is distracting us from here. These little pieces of thing in the lawn are also distracting us, which are easily taken out. And for me, the shot is when you go up here onto the road and aim that way on the road and have the leading line of the road pulling your eye in, and then the rest of the scene. And then at least this would be offset to one side and not quite as distracting. For me, this picture's a bit less successful just because of there's nothing that's really a main focus. It's just, yeah, this one is not quite it for me. This one is strong. This one is stronger. There's an exposure thing here. I know it looks like it's just about to rain, but if you just look at this on screen, you can see that the overall feeling of this picture is dark. Yes, it's ominous, and yes, it's cloudy, but still the exposure in here is like under, I would say maybe by a half a stop. I would love it to be bumped up because that's starting to just push back here into just black. And we want to have detail there. We want to have detail here in these trees and not lose that on smaller screens. And also the main body, the main subject of this picture is just this grass. And then you just like If that's the main subject, then it has to punch like just a little bit harder. Also, your horizon line, it feels like the horizon line is like going down. And I know that it's a hill and this is a hill and blah, blah, blah. But still, if you look at the trees just in the background, make sure that this horizon line is really straight. Just make sure it feels straight. Even if this is a hill going down, this picture has a feeling like that it's leaning down in that direction. Again, you're balancing your most important stuff very center focused in your last two photos. This one here, again, your most important thing is very center focused, and you can see there's a contrast issue here. With this one here, there's an exposure issue. Contrast isn't much of an issue, but just having this is super heavy. I would, again, like, it's not as important. So having this go right through the center of your picture, consider having that kind of flow through your picture this way, or flow through your picture this way, not drop dead center. And then your horizon also drop dead center. These are things that, like, you drop your horizon here, you drop your horizon lower, just to make the shot feel a little bit more balanced. Same thing with here. You're dropping your horizon there. You're dropping your subject pretty much in the center. Just things to watch for to just make your pictures a little bit more advanced and less like just simple. All right, let's look at another one. Yeah, this is another one. Same idea. This one's a little bit more symmetrical, but the way that there's so much space on this side, there's so much space here, there's so much space here, there's so much space here, and there's definitely infinite space that way. But down here, you cut right there. You cut there. You didn't give me the space for the grass to go underneath, for me to kind of complete the circle of how we get from this side to the other side. So that crop there, that kind of aggressive crop, when you have so much space up here to do that crop and just push your photo down, I personally would like to see just a little bit more down that way. The reflection on the grass, on the water, the colors, the way that this bank goes, this, for me, the balance of this photograph is a little bit more successful, but it's just this right here that for me is a little distracting. All right, that is the 5 from exploras.pa. If I had to choose a single favorite photo, I'm going to choose the last one as your best photo. I really love the balance in this picture. I really think that there's a couple of things here that you could have done in order to make it just a little bit better. This is super easy to clone out. There's a couple of things here. This is super easy to clone out. This post is super easy to clone out. Some of the stuff here just makes it so your eye just focuses here and you're not distracted. Small things. And again, each time you go out and shoot, each time you make these compositions, you get better. And again, I shoot hundreds of photos for a single frame. I know when you go out, you're just trying to take pictures, but what happens is you see so many pictures that you don't spend enough time on any one photo to achieve mastery. You just click, got it. Next, click, got it. And it's like, no. Now you're just taking pictures. We're trying to make pictures. And making pictures is a way slower, deliberate process. Take picture, look at the frame and look at the composition, look at the balance and say, what can I do to make this better? And if you're shooting landscapes just when you're walking and you're just holding your camera, by the way, any landscape photographer that you see on YouTube, what do you see them carrying? Always tripod, always. Why? Because they can put their frame there. They can set their frame, they can take a picture, they can step back. They can look at it. They can look at the scene. They can go back. They can take the exact same frame again, adjust the exposure. Look at that. Then they can go again and take you're on sticks. Nothing, like, you can have discipline where you can move your frame, move your lines, move your composition, frame. Look at that now. Oh, exposure, frame. Now you're looking, like, it's mastery. Like, walking and snapping it's a certain type of photography. But again, when you're an emerging photographer and you're thinking, how can I actually get better? It's like, spend more time on one thing. Like, the attention span of a photographer. It's like, oh, I see this. Oh, I see this. Oh, I see this. It's like, no, dude, go back to that first thing that you saw. Stay there. Stay with it. Spend 15 minutes there. Look at now the first frame that you shot. Look at the last frame that you shot and see how it goes like this. Oh, it's so much better. So then you're thinking, you're walking around and you're spending the whole day just shooting the first frame of all these ideas. And then what happens? You have photography that you're like, why am I not getting better? It's because you're spending too little time per idea. Shoot through the picture. You've heard me say this 1,000 times. This is why. This is actually why. Because you can't notice the mistakes in composition in the second that you do it. You have to take a frame and step back and look at it. And then, and as you shoot 10 and 20 and 30 frames, you're like, oh my God, I didn't even see I was cutting that person's head off the whole time. Or I didn't see there was a stick there. Though I shot 20 frames without even noticing that stick there. Like, that's what happens. It's like you see stuff that reveals itself in this frame. Like, you start asking yourself questions like, does every single thing need to be in this photograph? What is distracting me? Is this framing right? Am I standing in the exact right spot? And the more that you stare at this photograph, the more that you stare at this photograph, you can see, oh, you know what? He actually needed to move that way. He needed to just move that way a little bit because he's actually hitting this at a little bit of an angle. If he moved this way just a little bit, he would have hit this really straight. And then if you spent a little bit more time, you would have noticed, hey, you know what? What does the composition look like when I show this whole thing instead of clipping right there? And then what's the reason? Is there something beyond there that you're trying to cut out? Like, you start to really get into the rhythm of the scene, of the shot. And once you get there, then it becomes like, okay, I'm now not taking pictures. Now I'm making pictures. You can make pictures in every scene that you're taking a picture. It just means slow down, review your frame, shoot a few more, look again. And if you're shooting scenes, architecture, buildings, interiors, and you're doing it without a tripod, you're lazy because it's going to make your work when the people who are working at interiors, landscapes, selling prints and all that, they're all on a tripod. Yes or yes. And I just explained to you the reason. On to the next pro. Let's go. By the way, explorers, I hope that was helpful. I hope you found value in that review. Let's get on to calligraphy. Calligraphy says, some last minute submission, portraits of my beautiful supportive friend, taken with the Nikon D7000. Wanted your advice before switching over to mirrorless. I'm ready for a pro critique. All right, let's get it in, calligraphy. Calligraphy, you got a good sensibility. You have a good sensibility. I like the color. I like the tone. The exposure's a little hot in the black skin here. Her skin, you can see the exposure on my skin and how, like, she's just lighter. You know what I mean? And that's because of exposure. Your exposure here is likely, I would call this plus 2/3. Maybe a third. This, it's close, but this is overexposed. This is overexposed. The idea is super strong, One of the problems when you're shooting down on a subject is having that subject not be like this, which I've talked about in a couple of episodes ago, is having your subjects not be like this. And that happens when we're lying down and like your head rests. So what we have to do is you have to prop something behind her head and encourage her to like do that same thing as if she's not lying down, which you can kind of see that's happening here in her neck. Her neck is actually compressing on itself, which is making her look like she has no jawline, but she does. This other arm being pushed behind her makes this shoulder look weird. Like we want to see where that arm goes. And there's lots of places to put that arm and you can still have that fur on it. But personally, I would have that arm come down here and bring us back into the picture. Right now, having that arm cut off just stops us dead here. The coins on top of her are kind of okay. Her holding this, I'm not sure if you put that in post or if it's placed there just absolutely perfectly. Yeah, it's strong. You just have to watch the waistline because it also makes her look kind of wide right here. She should definitely roll like over so she's on her side rather than like straight down. It just, when you shoot someone from the top and you show like how wide they are this way rather than how wide they are this way, it's just, it makes it look just a little bit cleaner. Again, this is strong. Make sure that you're using a light meter when you're shooting in the studio. What's up, Aiden? Jessica, either way, I haven't said hi to everybody. Steven, Jibo, Vicky, Matthew, welcome. Kura, Robin, welcome. Calligraphy. Ooh, ooh. Who else? Matthew, if I didn't say that already. Milan, welcome. I said Vicky already. Okay, who are we missing? Joel, welcome. Let's go. Okay, if you're not in chat, if you're not active in chat, I'm not saying hi to you because I don't see your name. All right, so I hope that helps. Small things, but all very, very, very important things. One other thing is this thread that is on her chin that I see right here. I also see a thread on her nose that goes like this all the way across here. Yes or yes? This is why I ask you to send me files that are 4,000 pixels wide because of this. So I can see this thread. I can see this on her nose. I can see this. And also when you go down to her chin, then I can see this and this thread here and this stuff on her chin here. So make sure that, yeah, like everything that you could possibly see when it comes to this. Like I look at my frames like this, by the way. I go like this from the upper corner. When I'm ready to call a picture a final, I go like this. I scan like this, cross to the end, then I go down like this, then I go across like this. This is what I do to every single photo so I can look at the stuff and catch it. Because when you're just looking at a photo for too long, you miss this stuff. But I look at it like a grid and I just scan it. And I'm seeing like just doing it like this, you can see all the mistakes. So yeah, that's how you look at your own photography. And you can't let mistakes leave the house, man, because guys like me, we catch it. If you imagine it's an art director, a designer, somebody who is paying you to make these photos. I appreciate you. Thank you. Hey, when you're into a situation where someone's paying you to make these photos, now you're like, okay, I'm getting paid. I can't let mistakes leave my house. Let's look at another one. It's just head angle here for me. You're lower, like you look like you're aiming up at her just a bit, and because of that head angle, again, if given and left to their own devices, 9 out of 10 subjects, if left to their own devices, will do this. They'll do that when you point a camera at them. And this girl is actually doing that. She's lifting her head up and pulling away. And that you're now photographing basically the underneath of her jawline, and also that same thing that I've talked about where she has to push her chin out, not pull her chin in. And she's pulling her chin in and moving back. And that's making it so the distance between, like, you can actually see how she's creating a double chin. She's actually, OBS crashed. Let's see if we get to catch up without losing anything. Let's see if I catch up. Hey, I think I connected again. Wow. OBS crashed. That was nuts. Sorry about that. OBS crashed. Good. And listen, the fact that I'm back that fast is amazing. Amazing, because believe me, it usually takes way longer. I'm in the middle of it, and then it's just like, boom. And then I said, oh, and then I cursed, but I won't say that. So as I was saying before I got so rudely interrupted, is you can see here how she's actually creating a double chin. You can see how she's creating a double chin by pulling back. Like, you can see that. She's pulling back, and she's creating that. So I want you to remember, anytime you guys are shooting, you're continually telling your subjects, don't pull away from me. I want you to project towards me. I want you to not pull your chin back. I want you to think about putting your chin on a table. Put your chin on a table. Like, literally, look what that looks like from the side. Rather than pulling back, you say put your chin on a table. So you push out and you put your chin on a table. So now this all is engaged. And now with this head angle, and when you're shooting it from the front, it's super flattering. You know what I mean? You don't go too long, but it's about there. You see what it looks like back here? But from here, it looks super strong. You know what I mean? So again, just make sure that you're directing your models to not pull back. Put your chin on a table is exactly what I say. Put your chin on a table. Again, the focus, the retouching, all of that stuff is quite on point though. It's quite on point, honestly. And for a photographer who is relatively new at the game and worried quite a bit about submitting your photographs for review, I think you did pretty great, honestly. I think you did pretty great. The light on this, the composition is really strong. Look at this as a cover. It's strong. She's wearing a contrasty outfit. I think where you would be really strongly served is with posing. Like, once you learn the posing game, like, I'm telling you, once you get into posing, and again, I get asked about this every week to make video content about posing. So I will make video content about posing. Let me find some of my favorite sessions for posing. I'll show you some of my posing just to give you a sensibility of like how I direct my models to pose. This is all old shit. But you just get the sensibility of like how I have my models pose. Let me show you another one. Let me show you another one. Close your eyes, there's nudies here. Let me show you another one, Seraphima. This one was, this just shows you how I direct models to pose. And you'll see also light, background choice, movement, and like cropping and all of that stuff. Like you'll see the vibe when it comes. Look to what she's doing with her fingers and like the wind blowing her stuff. Like this is for me, like, I look at Albert Watson, I look at Helmut Newton, I look at Peter Lindbergh, I look at, my God, like Herb Ritz, Matthew Rolston, like there's so many shooters. Like, look at this pose, like she does the Michael Jackson, like on her toes. Look at this pose. Like, this is what I was trying to describe when it comes to, like, if you're shooting a girl from the top, look at her head angle and look at how I'm hitting her and look how she's twisting. I have her twisting her knees the opposite direction. And what that does is it just makes her so narrow between here and here. Like, now you see this line coming along her bum and this line coming up here, and the arms are just bringing you into here. And that head angle, how that leads you down her body, how crazy the shoes are, and also this piece of fur on the background to like isolate the brown from the shoes and the skin tone and her hair. Like, it's all like, telling you, I look at Italian Vogue. Like, I look at Italian Vogue. Like, what else would you do when it comes to fashion photography? I look at Italian Vogue. I look at British Vogue, and I look at the masters from days gone by. Look at this pose, how she's off the ground. She's actually fully in a jump. Look at her hands on her hip and look at her head angle. Like, all of this is like completely intentional. And also, on top of everything else, look at the fact that she has Rembrandt lighting hitting her face and this perfect pocket of light, that no shadow, her shoulders, her hips. It's all like, it's all on point. It's all, and again, I shot 100 frames to get that frame. Do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. And I'm on a tripod. The camera's on it. So all I'm looking at is just that movement. And she just does it again and again and again. This is how you achieve mastery when it comes to photography. Look at this pose. Look at her expression. Look at the look on her face. Like, this is how you achieve mastery. It's not like looking left or looking right when it comes to posing with models. And never let a model just do whatever she wants. Ever. Ever. Like, I'm going to be doing some sessions. Secret time, there's some big stuff coming up. So you're going to get to see me direct the way that I'm talking to you guys about it right now. Let's get back into the reviews. Got a couple more here from our man Calligraphy. I love your skin tone, man. The skin tone and the feeling of this is really great. The fact that this is cropped to square, or like it's a weird-ish kind of crop. I'd really like to see the rest of the photo. The exposure on her skin is quite nice. The retouching is quite nice. Again, this for me is strong. She's offset though, like this distance here versus the distance here, and just this distance versus here with this very square frame feels imbalanced. You need to center her with a vertical frame, and this is a vertical picture. The green, her skin tone, her earrings, the focus in her eye, the under reflector that you have in order to give that little bit of highlight, the gray background, everything is really on point. For me, there's small details, like I see the wrinkles in the background down here, which is an easy fix. I see them all the way along here, actually, which is an easy fix. It just needs to be centered. This picture needs to end. Picture needs to end like right here. Like, it's begging to end right here. And just look when I crop it like that, how much, and I'll even actually move it a little closer so you can see what it looks like even closer. Like, I would crop this picture right there, and you can see how much more balanced it feels when it's cropped there. All right, let's look at another from Calligraphy. Skin tone's a little grayish here for me. I'm not sure what it is that you're doing. Oh no, it looks better here. But there, you're pushing the saturation, and because you're pushing the saturation, it's like your sensor's having a hard time reconciling. It's already like a lot of color, but color like this, when you bump the saturation like this, it starts to make things kind of bleed in the background. Yeah, I feel like the exposure in here is off. Like it looks like you're trying to recover exposure that you missed in here. There's also a little bit of motion blur that I can see. Also the red lines and stuff in her eyes, the bloodshotness, you can kind of clean up a little bit. Couple of skin things, but basically in this picture, you really see how her makeup isn't blended well. You really see how her makeup isn't blended well. Like this looks like she did her makeup, but she's not a makeup artist, and you can see how her makeup isn't blended well. Whenever you endeavor into this type of makeup, you can see how like it's just, there's too many weird things with the blending. So this, and again, the crop, you're cropping your photos really strange. Like photos are 9:12 is a magazine crop. It comes out of camera 8:12. It's very helpful for me to see the photo, the whole photo. Magazines aren't like this format. Magazines don't crop this way. So you can't free crop your pictures. Pictures have to be 2:3, 4:5, like 3:4. Like there's very distinct crops. When you just free crop your images, it messes with our eye, it messes with the viewer's eye, and it makes it seem like you're just thinking about the final output being Instagram. You're thinking about a grid. You're thinking about this looking all punchy in a grid. And what you need to be thinking about is what it looks like in a magazine. In a magazine. If it looks good in a magazine, of course it's going to look good in a grid. So be very, very wary of your framing. So if I had to pick one of my favorite from this set, it would definitely, I mean, for me, it's no question. This for me is your strongest photo, Calligraphy. I love this. This is my favorite. I think it's a simple fix when it comes to the crop. You can easily fix this, but this is very, very, very strong. It's advanced lighting. I just think that once you nail a couple of those crop things and really, really look at your photos the way that I just did, you need to look at your own pictures that way. All right, let's look at another. See how many more we got to go. This is Tyrone. This is Tyrone. Tyrone. Nikon D3500. Tyrone. Shooting with, I'm not sure if you're using a ring light here, a ring light and on-camera flash. You can see the hand on the glasses looks very, very placed and not very natural. The double exposure that's happening from you using on-camera flash, that like this double exposure, because he's right next to the wall, that like pop-up flash look is the quickest way for you to make your photography look like really amateur. So pop-up flash, if you want to use flash, it's got to be off the camera. You can't really light when you're just, you know what I mean? So let's avoid the whole pop-up flash in the and the ring light in the glasses is okay, and the non-distracting background is okay. Again, I think the free cropping, this is a square. People are vertical. I feel magazines are vertical. I feel like I want to see more of the photo. Give me the whole frame, especially if you're a newer photographer and you're really coming here needing like real guidance. I need to see the whole picture. Show me the whole picture so I can actually see where the shot started. That helps me. When you're cropping out stuff, it seems like you're hiding stuff. I can help you better when I see the whole photo. Let's look at another. Yeah, I think this whole pop-up flash business is going to be the death of you. Pop-up again, the pop-up flash puts these catch lights like dead center in the center of the eyes and gives just kind of odd shadows. We have to work on finding better light and finding better locations. When you find good light and find better locations, you don't have sort of distractions that are like this bright area back here is fighting with the attention on her skin tone. When you really look deep in on this picture, and again, the file isn't very large. By the way, when you're submitting, 4,000 pixels wide. 4,000 pixels wide times 100 DPI. That makes it so I can actually enlarge them and see your focus. This picture for me, the crop, again, I want to see the whole photo. Head angle's a little high. I would love to see you practice shooting without any flash at all, Tyrone, because you're not lighting. You're just turning the flash on the camera. There's a reason why pro cameras don't even have a pop-up flash. It's because we don't use them. We know if you're just like the flash right where the lens is like giving you passport photo light. So that's why my R5 doesn't have a pop-up flash. That's why any pro gear, there's no pop-up flash. Pop-up flashes are amateur hour. So if you want to make your pictures look amateur, use the pop-up flash. If you want to make your pictures look professional, find better locations, find better light. All right, let's get into another one. Yeah, that we've seen that picture. This is your last one. And this, again, it's the same sort of idea where it comes to you're just taking photos. We're not making photos. I appreciate the pose, but it's the placement. You're just in a bedroom. There's shadows that are happening because of the on-camera flash. There's a sign in the background that is just saying, like, it's not saying photography, it's saying snapshot. And the double shadow, it's just the exposure is low. I'm trying to be encouraging, but when you shoot and you're new, trying to be new, not knowing a lot about photography, and on top of that, adding artificial light, it's a recipe for disaster. Unless you're literally reading books about lighting, watching videos about lighting, you won't see anywhere anybody saying on-camera flash. That's just not a thing. So you want your photography to get way better. The next time you submit photos, I want to see no flash, no on-camera flash. In fact, take a piece of duct tape and tape that pop-up flash down, turn it off from like automatically popping up, and like stop using it and start going out at the right time of day, start finding locations, and actually start looking at photography for inspiration. Because if you're not looking at photography for inspiration and you're just on your own taking photos, it's really, really difficult to progress in the way that you need to. All right, let's look at our next shooter. This is Jessica Jean. Jessica says, I'm bummed that Halloween is over already. I love a spooky portrait. So here are a few self-portraits from the years 2023, 2021, 2020. Composites are a labor of love, and it's a way for me to develop my editing skills while engaging more in my abstract creative muscles from time to time. This is photographs from Jessica Jean. Jessica, this is really, really lovely. Like, very, very lovely. Such a creative idea. And if you look at the composite and how clean this is done, This is done very, very, very well. You don't see any place here where you're blending between fingers and candles. This is really, really well done. I'm not sure what year this one was, the most recent one or one of your previous ones, but this is really well done. The focus is really strong. The focus is really strong, although your rear eye is in focus a little bit more than your front eye. So make sure that you're trying to tack your front eye. I actually appreciate the color balance in this particular picture because it's candlelight. You actually need it to feel a little bit more warm. So I do know why you let the color balance go this way. Crop wise, I feel it's a little center focused. I feel like this door back here, although it does add a little bit of mystery, I wouldn't mind you pushing your hand out just a little bit to create a little bit of a gap between you and your hand. I know you're using your hand to light your face, but what that does is it gives you like a very center focus picture, and that makes it really difficult to put this between two pages. What I would consider is if I was pushing in on this picture and pushing you on one side, you can see this kind of feeling where you're now kind of hauntingly pushed one side over, although it is cutting the hand out too much and blah, blah, blah. I'm making this crop in order for it to be able to fit as 2 pages in a magazine. Because you can see this now, if you look at this in a magazine, now the gutter goes, that was a horrible line. I really did think that it was one of my straight lines. But now if you look at that as the gutter, that's now 2 pages in a magazine. And you're really focused on your face. You really see like the fear in your eyes, the expression in your mouth, and that you're lit from these candles. Oh my goodness, look at all the other stuff that I didn't see. Like when did this happen? I just noticed now the eyes in the background.
Yes or yes?
I didn't notice the eyes in the background before, but she's placed these eyes behind, which are very cool, and you only notice them when you zoom quite in. So that's very cool. I didn't notice that off the cuff, but that's very dope. This is a great shot. Great shot. It's definitely 11. It gets the applause and the smoke. Great picture, Jessica. Great picture. So spectacular. Wow. All right, let's look at another composite from Jessica. This is great. A great idea. And these are advanced composites, like super difficult to make it so you see through the glass. Like there's a little bit of shadowing and a little bit of like edging down here. I'd like to see a little bit more of your shadow in here and a little less of the close cropping, and also under here a little bit less of the close cropping, because when you really punch in, you can see this here, that small stuff. But again, it's like, this is stuff that, again, over time, the more you practice this, the more you just keep grinding this, the better that you get. So really strong, really strong. Let's look at the whole picture again. Really strong. Look at it as a cover. You're getting lots of hearts, Jessica. People are showing you love. You're getting the love, 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 love. Really strong. All right, let's look at another one. The more you get practice at composites, the more you'll be, the better you'll get. Like composites are just something you just keep practicing. One more from Jessica. By the way, if you guys are liking this content, please hit the like button. It helps more than you know. Oh, this is great. The ghosting is great. You walking through here in several different spots is really creepy. This is really beautiful. Really beautiful. This is amazing. Great light on you, too. This is really special. Really special. Wow, you've made this difficult. You've made this difficult. Your 3 photographs. Wow. Wow. Well, what am I going to do now for your best photo? Crikey. Wow, Jessica, why are you going to make it so hard? Why you got to make it so hard? All right. All right. I'm going to give this picture right here your best photo, Jessica. Well done. This is just amazing. Amazing. Such a great first submission. That's so sick. Thank you so much, Jessica, for being a part of this amazing community. Ooh, you guys having a good time? Enjoying yourself? I do this podcast every Thursday as far as the photo review show. I also do Ask a Photo Pro Tuesdays. Tuesdays is more of a inspiration show, motivation show, photo business show. And then Thursday, we deep dive into you, and I look at the photographs that you've been sending and shooting. Ram Ted says he's finally getting through some edits and posting on Instagram again. Ram Ted is a photographer who's been watching me for a couple of years. He is an incredible macro, insects, flowers. You're not ready for Ram Ted. This is photography from Ram Ted. Look at this photograph. Wow. Look at the detail. And Ram somehow is making photographs like this at this level with this light on black, on different colors. Like, look at how strong his photography is. He's compositionally sound, he's technically sound, and he makes the kind of photographs that you literally wish were yours. Look at the detail that this guy is bringing out in his macros. Absolutely insane. Ram Ted, let's go. That's the first picture from Ram. He hits hard, by the way. This guy's photographs hit hard. This is another picture from Ram. Beautiful, beautiful macro, Ram. This is gorgeous. Gorgeous. You want to see the detail? Look at the detail. Also, look at the depth of field. Look how the background back here just liquefies. Like, ask Ram how he's making his backgrounds so absolutely beautiful. His backgrounds are gorgeous. So nice to look at. He's very balanced with his composition. It's good. It's good. Again, this is... Ram has been shooting for a minute now. And, like, he really is getting to that point where... he's finding his eyes, he's finding his style, and his photographs really, I think, are a testament of it. Good for you, Ram. Let's look at another. Wow. Wow. This guy. Bringing the heat. Look at this photography, Ram. Let's go. This is great, man. Look at the detail. Again, this is just really kind of special. Well done, Ram. Well done. Again, take it in as a cover. Super strong. Super strong work. Well composed. Well lit. And look how he manages to isolate his subjects in every one of his frames, even if it's just a bug. And, Visual OD is saying AI stuff. I assure you, if you talk to Ram and you see him do his process, this is done all in camera. It's done in camera. It's done with light. It's done with idea. And Ram's last photo is the other side of that spider. This is really strong. This picture would also work upside down. I'm liking how you're pushing in light on this now. The light's soft but hard at the same time. This picture, you're giving me just a little bit too much top space. I wouldn't mind this picture pushed down, or this subdeck pushed down just a touch, but seeing it as a cover, you can see it's super strong. Yo, well done. Photos from Ramted. I do have to pick a favorite, though. I do have to pick a favorite, though. I'm going to call this one Ram. We're going to call this one your best photo. I'm giving it to this picture right here. This is your best photo, Ram. Well played. I love it. From my opinion, I think it's magic. So great. So great. It's like plastic. You know, it almost like this insect almost doesn't look real. Visual OD. Oh, I'm just playing, dude. I'm just playing. It's all good. Milan saying, taken around the city of Southport, UK. Let's look at Milan's walking and rocking shooting pictures. First picture from Milan. This bridge is beautiful. Really nice. Your placement, the light's really pretty. This looks really great. I want to check your horizon line, though. Just want to make sure that your horizon is straight. Just taking you from right here to right here. Looks pretty straight, my guy. This is really great. Really strong. I like the tone. I like the clouds. I like the time of day, the reflection, the fact that you didn't drop this horizon right in the center of the picture, which it would have been easy, very easy to drop it right there. You chose to push the horizon lower, which for me is really winning. I think this is really strong. This is definitely an 11. You get the smoke for this. Amazing. Amazing. Well done, Milan. Milan's second photo around Southport. This is strong too. Good discipline with the horizon line. I'm noticing that you have your horizon line up here. You didn't drop it again, dead center. The way that this boat is pushing through is okay. The flowers and the way that the flowers are hitting the horizon line it's kind of tricky. I would have lowered myself to push those flowers up against the sky a little bit more and then push that boat a little bit through here. Still, it's strong. It's got strong leading line. Nice light. It's not for me as strong as some of the others, but again, the other photography, you're coming in hot with the other pictures, so that's also an okay thing to be. All right. Let's look at picture number, well, this is picture number 3. This is great. Really strong. The exposure is just a little low. Even if it's a night photo, still can bring up just a touch more exposure. Still hold the blacks, but just give us a little bit more shadow. As far as this picture, it's super strong though. I really like the leading line. I really like the way that you're bringing this in and bringing your eye through. I wouldn't mind seeing it come right from that corner. You've pushed it just a little bit down. And again, here, the way that this railing goes, you could push that over just a little bit. There's so many different ways that you can play with this composition. The way that this sits, this light, so many different ways that you can play with this composition, but literally it literally all comes from you shooting through the picture and spending just a little bit more time there. It's a nice night shot. I hope you were on a tripod. It's strong. This picture is a clever idea, but the exposure is way off. The exposure is so off that we're not actually able to achieve the same kind of black that you achieved in this picture. That's why areas that would have been black like that are super gray like this now. This is an exposure issue. You recovered it well, but it's because you're trying to expose this But in doing that, you're really losing the black on everything else. I think you could process this better. But again, it's a strong idea. I just think that the exposure, we lost it a little bit on the back end. Let's see. Your favorite, my favorite. It's this one right here. That's my favorite picture, Milan. Nice done. Nicely done. Nicely done. All right, let's look at who else we got. Let me know if this is bringing you guys value. I know, like, me looking at photographs that aren't yours, I hope it brings you value still. Freddie says, first submission, all pictures shot on the Canon 90D with the 15 to 85. 15 to 85, 3.5 to 4.5, except for the macro picture, which is the EF 100-28, borrowed from a friend. All right. First picture, exposure is a factor. Light is a factor. You can see, just seeing this on screen, the exposure here is under at least one stop. I'm not sure if you're shooting with auto exposure on your camera, but if you're not, you need to be. It makes her skin look kind of gray, even if she is trying to do a Halloween thing and make her skin look a little gray. Still, the exposure is off by quite a bit. That's easy to fix with a light meter. Again, just the fabric in the background. When you're shooting with a camera that has like pretty much a kit lens and like a floating aperture, meaning 3.5 to 4.5, it doesn't have a lot of depth of field. My suggestion, buy a 50 millimeter. Buy a 50 millimeter 1.8 STM lens today. Buy that. It's $100. It will make your photography like skyrocket. The problem is you're dealing with a very narrow aperture of 3.5 to 5.6 because of the narrow aperture. In times like this where you would normally be able to shoot, your camera can't get the amount of light in because the lens is quite dim. So that means that depth of field also is a thing. And when you have someone standing right on the background and this is a wrinkly background, you are going to see the wrinkles. When you see photographers in studio in that perfect background, it's paper. It's actually not fabric, it's paper. So if you're using fabric for a background, fabric is not background material unless it's super thick and it's unwrinkled. That's kind of why we use paper. When it wrinkles, you just cut it off, pull down another perfect piece, use it. When it wrinkles, you cut it off. And then when it's totally damaged, you buy another one. Fabric, in order to try to save money, unless you have an industrial steamer and you're willing to take the time to take every single wrinkle out, as a new photographer, when you're brand new at so many of the aspects of photography, trying to also do artificial light when you haven't mastered exposure yet is kind of putting the chicken before the horse. My suggestion, shoot outside, shoot on location, master natural light before you even think about shooting inside with light. And also, like, watch everything that you can on lighting. Your location picture is so much stronger. This picture of the gun on location, although it's out of focus, we got to make sure that with our cameras, we're picking one focus point, a single focus point. We're locking where we want that focus to be, which would likely be right here or the gun down here. We're making sure that we have that focus perfect, and then we're squeezing our frame. And then we're checking to make sure that we have it, and then we're doing it again and again and again and again. Even the back of the gun here, where I think that it's supposed to, oops, let me just make sure that, there we go. Even here, the back of the gun, that seems like it's in focus from this distance. When you put it at 100%, it's actually kind of not. So yeah, make sure that you're tack sharp with your focus. Let's look at your last picture. The 100 millimeter macro L series, again, I have this lens. This is way closer, but even this picture, when you really look at it, even this picture is out of focus. So there's something that's happening with either your camera body, with how you're squeezing the frames, because you're missing focus. You're missing focus by like just a bit. Your focus is closer to here, but I think that you're trying to obviously focus on here. The picture, this one, you're missing focus on this one as well. And then this one, you're missing focus on this one as well if I'm really zoomed in. So I'm just trying to figure out if it's a camera issue. It might be a camera issue. Sometimes there was another viewer who was watching recently and they were having a problem with focus, and we isolated it and ended up figuring out that it was how his camera was set. So make sure your camera's not set on servo. Make sure it's set to one shot, and then lock the picture, lock the focus, recompose, and shoot. And if you're shooting at a shutter speed that is slower than 1 over the maximum focal length of the lens, meaning if you're shooting with a 50, you can shoot at a 50th of a second. If you're shooting at with an 85, you can shoot at an 85th of a second. If you're shooting with a 70 to 200, you can shoot it as 200th of a second. It's 1 over the longest focal length of the lens. So picking your best photo from this last batch, my man Freddie, it is for sure going to be the bug photograph. It's the most exposed properly. It's the best composition. It's the most interesting picture. It's just a little bit out of focus. When you're doing this kind of macro, the tolerance of focus is very narrow. And also you'll notice on that lens, it has a setting for when you're shooting from 45 centimeters longer or from 35 centimeters closer. So it has a setting and it focuses better if you're on the right lens setting. I'm not sure if you check that as well, but some of your other shots are out of focus too. So I want to make sure that it's not your camera. All right, those are photos from the one they call Freddie. Thank you for submitting. As mentioned, this one right here is your best photo. Thank you for submitting, by the way. Let's see how we're doing here. How many more? Oh my goodness. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. John Wallace. Portraits going back over 10 years to present day. Hey, I'm going to spend less time on the pictures from 10 years ago and a little bit more on present day. Because looking at pictures from 10 years ago, I'm trying to critique. So let's critique where you are now rather than where you were 10 years ago, because you've already fixed those mistakes. So let's look at this photograph here from you, John Wallace. Please submit photographs that are recent if you want reviews. I am not interested in looking at pictures from your childhood or when you were the first day that you picked up a camera. I'm most interested in looking at pictures that you did last week, how you're shooting now, today. Show me that stuff. Use this as a motivation to go out and make new photos. This is strong. The background not being jet black, you definitely see. Secret time, how you get a jet black background is using black velveteen. If you're using just black cloth, you need to have that black cloth far enough away from your model that the background, that no light touches it, because the smallest amount of light touching it, you can see down here wrinkles and that kind of stuff here in the background. If you look at my website and look at any of the stuff that I've done on black, you'll see it's actually jet black because I use velveteen. Velveteen, a subject can lean against it. You can shoot pictures and it renders jet black. Secret time. If you're using cloth, it just doesn't do it. This is a strong photograph. I really like the light. I like, literally, for your first submission, this is an 11 out of 10. Definitely. Definitely. This is great. This is definitely great. It's compositionally strong. It's compositionally strong. It's compositionally strong. It's like, this is shot editorially. It's a great idea. It's great makeup. It's a great model. It's a great pose. It's great light. It's exposed properly, which looks like you have a light meter and you've shot in the studio before. This is executed very well. The small thing is just the black background. Again, that's something that not everybody knows. Let's look at, I'm not going to look at all four because, again, looking at these first two old pictures, not necessary. And this picture, which again, I think is a little bit more modern. I think the only issue I have with this is the color balance and the exposure. I think that this is supposed to be black, and you can see that the black is not rendering black. It's rendering like a little yellowy. That's because of the color balance. Also, the skin is rendering a bit yellowy. That's because of the color balance. Try to grab a piece of the black and see where the skin goes there. Exposure, though, this is a bit hot, and because of the lighting, it's making this black not render black. This is a tricky thing to try when the girls rate up on the fabric like that. It's why you don't see it done very often. It's a clever idea. Not sure if it worked. This one here, the picture, the Halloween inspired picture for me is my favorite. We're going to call this one Your Best Photo. And I want to see more. I want to see more photography from you. I want to see more photography from you, more new pictures so I can see where you actually are right now. Because, like, yeah, I want to see where you are right now. We don't need to see this. You know what I mean? We don't need to see this. No offense, but it's just, you know, it's 10 years ago. Okay, let's look at some new stuff from our next shooter. You guys still with me? I know it's a long episode, but this is what happens when I allow people to submit up to 5 photos. They submit 5 photos. They start looking for photos to submit rather than just submitting the ones that should be looked at. So that's why, by the way, I said earlier, 3 photos is now the limit. 3. All right, we are looking at photos from Romeo. Yes or yes? Romeo, this is a cool idea. You definitely got the exposure right on your subject here. You can see because your exposure is on her here, which is perfect. Anything that's brighter is going to go light, and anything that's darker is going to go dark. This is actually really great. I like the lines and the way that you isolate her there. You can fix this in post to a point. You can recover this a bit to a point. And if you, when you get a better camera, better bodies will recover this highlight, like in camera, a little bit better. Also, the alternative is you just punch in. You punch in and you don't try to get this foreground in the picture, because it's not the most interesting. What's the most interesting is her. So you just punch in and you shoot this picture, and that becomes how you solve all your problems. Is you see what's the most important thing here, her face, what's distracting, all of this, and then you just cut it out and you punch in. And then you can see that this is now dropping her dead center, and then you just offset her one side or the other. Let's look at another. This is a dope picture, Romeo. This is a dope picture. I like how you offset. This is strong. This is definitely strong. I like this a lot. As a self-portrait, it's great. Composed really well. Composed really well. I like the offset. It's exposed really well. And you're posed the way that you're not trying to do anything. You're not trying to be anything. You're just there. Look at this as a double page spread. This is excellent, Romeo. Excellent. One of your best self-portraits. You definitely knocked it out of the ballpark with that one. It's great. drummer, the motion, exposure, light, it's just a little bit of a digital mess, this picture. So not necessarily so successful. I'm not sure what you shot this with. I mean, it's a cool idea, isolating and cropping in like that. But again, it's like the more that you isolate on a certain type of subject matter, the more that you focus in on, are you trying to shoot people? Are you trying to shoot things? Are you trying to shoot events? Like, the more things that you shoot and submit to me, like, I just saw a self-portrait, but now, you know, like, just the variation of the type of subject matter that you're shooting and that you're sharing, what happens is it becomes like, you're not, are you trying to be an event photographer? Are you trying to shoot live things? If that's the case, really, really get amazing at it. But if it's just you were there, you saw something and you were enjoying it, just enjoy it. Put down your camera. Like, there's so many people I see at things, events, like filming it. It's like, unless you want to be an event photographer, just enjoy the event, you know? Because for me, the photography of it, yes, but also no. For me, I know that you're trying to find your wings as a shooter, but I also know when I look at this Romeo, I say, Romeo, you're a portrait photographer. Look at how honest and excellent this light, this face, this everything is. So, Romeo, I'll say again, you are a portrait photographer. You bring out the most beautifulness in people. So, if that is the case, why are you shooting this? Why? Like, who's hiring you to shoot this? Who's paying you to shoot this? Like, it becomes the difference between taking pictures, which you're doing here, and making pictures that when you actually make pictures, they're so much better. So stop taking pictures and start making pictures. Another episode, another instance of you making a photo. And look at how intentional, how deliberate, and how beautiful it is. So the difference is just taking pictures. This is you, saw something, took a picture, right? Saw something, took a picture. Here's the difference. Had an idea, made a picture. Here's a difference. Had an idea, made the best photo that you made today. The difference is taking versus making. Stop taking pictures. Everybody takes pictures. Make pictures. The difference is palpable. What would you rather have in your portfolio? This or this? Who's hiring? Who, like, is this a portfolio picture? That's what you ask yourself. Is this a portfolio picture? Absolutely, unequivocally, yes. So more of this. Should be your focus. This should be the only thing that you're doing, is trying to find people to shoot portraits of in natural light in this way. Make this photograph again of another face, and then do it again and again and again and again, and actually get better at being this close and making intimate portraits like this. And that you can carve a career out of. That you can make a career out of. Going to events, taking photos. Yeah, okay. But by the way, you'll never see me at an event with my camera, ever. Ever. I'm just enjoying it. I'm a photographer. I don't go to events to take photos. I make photos. I'm not here seeing Kanye with my camera out. You know, I'm just enjoying it. It's different. Okay. This last, again, it's a beautiful scene, but again, it's just the difference. This is all from the same photographer, Romeo. Again, it's just the difference between you taking photos of something that you see and making photos of something that you thought of and then you executed. The difference is so palpable for the people who can't make pictures, take pictures. If you have the ability to do both, you should focus exclusively on making pictures and forget about taking pictures for reals. All right, let's look at another. Anna Banana. Carty, these photos are from a real recent session from a friend who is also a wonderful photographer. Nikon D7 80, 85, and 35 prime lenses. Anna is in my mentorship program. Anna lives in Ottawa. Anna, this is really nice editorial, nice lines, really nice composition, although the exposure is still too hot on her face. This is almost white. Her skin here is almost white. Like the neck exposure here is closer to where we need her exposure, but the exposure here and the exposure on all the highlight side of her face is too hot. Too hot. This is something that we've talked about. This is something that I've caught in your photographs before. This is something that is an ongoing thing that I want you to constantly be watching. It's the only issue because compositionally, you shoot for magazines. You look like you make photos for magazines, but you lean a lot towards light. Your pictures are always overexposed. This is something we gotta fix. We gotta fix. Let's look at another. Way closer, but still hot. Way closer, but still a little hot, unfortunately. Oops, sorry guys. I'm just making sure that my stream control just died. There it goes. So yeah, it's still just a little bit hot. It's just here. Wherever you see just white and we lose detail, it's too hot. Where we are right here is where it has to be up here. This is still like plus at least a third over. When we look at the whole picture, again, it's composed cool. It's very editorial. Although I would love her to look at the camera. This is the second shot in a row that you picked with the same profile. So essentially this is the same picture twice, like literally the same picture twice with the same-ish composition, with the same-ish pose, with the same-ish head angle. The second exposure is better than the first one. The exposure here is better, but it's still hot. I just want you to think, rather than have her do this with the head profile, like for the second idea, have her lean with her shoulder and look at camera. You know what I mean? And kind of look this way. Like, give us variations even in your submission. And then the thing of her like holding on to her collar and like this whole thing is like, yeah, that's, don't let people do that. Don't let people do like this, and because we never do that in real life and it just looks posy. So this, her holding onto the collar, I would be like, don't touch that. Don't touch her collar. Just like have her hands in her pockets, like just cooler and easier with the poses, and not like that, like, look at the watch, look at this, like it's, yeah. And also the smile makes it feel like, I understand that she's happy, but the smile and the holding makes it feel like it's posing and not editorial. This is the most editorial, like Arthur Elgort shot. This is really, really great. Like really great. I hope that you shot hundreds of these, because this is like a really excellent idea. It's very Arthur Elgort fashion photography from the 50s. Like, I love it. I love it. I love it. The exposure on her face is still hot. This is still hot. It's still overexposed. You're still processing your pictures just a little bit too light. Obviously, there's a little bit of blur, and also her head angle. Because her head angle is up and back, I would have it this way and down and looking at you as she's crossing. Because she's looking behind her and moving forward, that's something that, like, and just walking into like a pit. Like that part I'm having a hard time reconciling with where she's looking. She should be looking at you, or looking forward. Like, I don't know, I'm having a hard time with her looking backwards. And then her looking backwards makes her hair go really weird because she's looking that way, and her hair if she was looking forward, her hair would have pulled back that way. If she was looking at you, her hair would have swooped sort of around her face to the side, which also could have looked kind of cool. So again, I'm not sure if you have other frames of that. And then also, if you have her with her hands on her waist, if you have her hands on her waist rather than just letting her hands go free, then her hands on her waist stop this from opening, and then it cinches her body and it makes this look narrower because she's a skinny girl, but the way that the fabric is doing it and the way that this is opening, it makes this part of her body look wider than it actually is. So I would have her with her hands on her hips or button the jacket. I like the scene though. I like the shot. Again, it's a complicated picture too. Anna Banana, you make it really difficult for me to choose a favorite. You make it really difficult for me to choose a favorite. Is there one more? No, there's just 3. Wow, Anna. Well, the most perfect pose is this picture. So the most perfect pose is this. Okay? Like, that's the most perfect pose. The best exposure is this one. So the closest in skin exposure is this one. So we rate it for that one. But then the most dynamic picture and the most like fun picture is this one. The most inspired picture for me is this one. So I'm giving you love on all 3 of these photos. Well done, Anna. Well done. Who's got to keep watching that exposure? All right, Matthew Sargent. All right, Matthew, this is great. This is his daughter playing in some corn kernels. Really cute. Really great depth of field. It's tricky with the feet cut. I'd love you to back up just a touch so we're not losing her toes. Possibly come around this way just a bit to maybe cut out this person and aim in that way just a little bit more and see a little bit more of her face. Again, the light and everything is really nice. It's really nice as a cover. Unfortunately, I'm fighting with this. I would love you to just move this way just a little bit more and see more of that face. Small things, Matthew. And again, shooting kids is like shooting a hockey game. I definitely know. This is strong. This is very close to what I was asking for, where you're hitting it front on. Really strong focus. Really great light, too. The light's amazing. This girl behind with the ponytail now jumping out of your girl's head makes it a little bit tricky. But again, the depth of field makes that so it feels a little bit further away. Really great focus. Really great focus on her. Really zooming in on the eyes. She's just captivated by you. Really strong. And again, it's like the open shade, the exposure on her face is like perfect. Perfect. Great. Great. Let's look at another. This is great, Matthew. And then, yes, I did ask you to submit something from last week in black and white. Yes. I think you went a bit far with the contrast. You can see on the screen how it's like too black now and almost like too dark. I could help you with the processing. There's definitely something there, but I feel like you went a little bit far with the contrast. Just my contrast, like I don't push the contrast past like 10, by the way. Like 10 is a lot for me when it comes to contrast because I'm always thinking about what it's going to look like on a screen. All right. Wow. Really strong detail in this one. Really great sharpness. And you held the saturation true to life. Yes, it's very center focused, but this one is great. This one's great. Really great. I pushed the wrong button there, but that's great. I like this a lot. Look at the detail. Like, really good. Really good. All right. And the strawberry. This is really compositionally sound, Matthew. Really great. I like this picture a lot. This is really good. Really good. Good discipline in the focus. Good discipline in the focus. Really, really strong. Really good. This could quite possibly be my favorite photo of yours. It could quite possibly have been my favorite photo of yours from today. Yes, my friend, this is your best photo. Really great. Beautiful light. Beautifully inspired photo. Like, this is gorgeous. This could be a print. Like, literally could be a print. All right. Nick Risk. Nick Risk. The last photographer of the day. The last photographer of the day. Nick said, I had a fire spinner for an art walk. It was dark and she was moving fast. It was hard to nail focus and keep the ISO down, but I got a few decent shots. This is really nice. This is really nice. I mean, you are losing and getting digital files. Like you can see here, the files are really digitizing. When you're shooting raw, I mean, when you're shooting at night, you have to be shooting raw. You also have to be shooting 16-bit when you're processing. The composition of this shot is really strong though. Like, that's the thing, Nick. Like, the composition of this is an absolute cover. Like, it's beautifully composed. It's a great idea. It's very editorial. The exposure on her face is great. Like, it's great, but the file falls apart when I look at it close up, right? Like, when you look at it close up, you can see, like, this looks like it's a JPEG that's been JPEG'd. Like, there's so much data loss. So I want to know, did you shoot RAW? Do you have a RAW file that we can go back to and process this and recover it a little bit? Or you shot JPEGs? Like, that's my question. So another, again, great, like, this is a great subject. It's a great model. And she's a fire dancer. So cool outfit and all that. It's just, again, the file. It's the file. The photos are great. The exposure is great, but the processing in the file, I'm just wondering about that. But you shot this so well. So well. It's another great composition. It's a great composition. You look at it as a cover. It's a great composition, great exposure, great everything.
New member.
Let's go, Anna. Anna on the 3rd month, baby. Let's go, Anna. I appreciate you for remembering yourself, rejoining.
New member.
Yo, Ram Ted. Let's go. Ram with the remember. Appreciate you. Let's go.
New member.
Go. What is happening all of a sudden? Oki on the 4 times. What's happening is we're about to cross 100. We crossed 100 a couple days ago, but, you know, memberships expire. Oh, this is so good, Nick. Jeez. Really good. Really good, man. I really hope that you have these in RAW, because this is really strong, man. This is really strong. Like, really. I hope you have this in RAW, because the compositions you got are really strong. All right. Let's look at Nick's last. Guys, stay to the end, because we're going to go over next week's photo reviews. We're going to get into an assignment. Yeah, this is great, Nick. Really great. It's just... yeah, it's just the files. I just want to see what your files look like. But composed beautifully, great cover ideas, well shot. For someone who just went and saw this happening on a photo walk, this is pretty excellent. Pretty excellent. You did very, very well. I am going to pick your best photo. I am going to pick your best photo. Huh. Making this hard. Yeah, it's this one right here for me. This is your best photo. It is this one right here. Absolutely. So great. So great. Like really, really strong. Well done. Guys, we made it. Can you believe it? We made it to the end. There are and were so many photos to look at. But starting next week, we're going to limit the photos to 3 per photographer. It's going to stop photographers from finding photos to send me to review and get photographers out shooting photos for me to review. Go make a photo. Go make several photos for me to look at. This is the best way for you to advance because you learn things, that you see the things that I catch. If you're submitting photos and you know already, he's probably going to say this. He's probably going to say this. Why are you submitting it? Why are you submitting it if you know that I'm going to say that? Find photos that you don't know what I'm going to say and submit those. Find photos that you think are perfect as you can make them. Submit those. And most importantly, submit new work. I am not here to pat you on the back about that photograph that you made 10 years ago. Amazing. You can send it to Just Chatting to share it with the community. That part I definitely encourage. But to send to me for my time to be reviewing photos, I need them to be stuff that you're stuck with, stuff that you're working on right now, stuff that you just shot. Judging something from 5 years ago that you've already corrected all your problems, you're on a different camera and all that stuff. It's wasting my time correcting or giving you pointers on something that you already know all those tips that I'm giving you now. You know what I mean? And also, you're a better photographer now than you were 10 years ago. So don't rest on work that you did 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Just because it was at a level then, don't be a one-trick pony. What have you done lately? Where's the work lately? I want to see what you're doing now. I want to see that you're motivated to make photos now. I appreciate everybody who wants to be a part of this community, and it is growing exponentially. But as far as these photo reviews, new work within the last 2 months, 3 months. If it's last year, 2 years, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I mean, again, send it to Just Chatting, share it with the community for me to review new stuff, where your headspace is at today. And 3 photos maximum. Then I can go through so many more photographers. I can help so many more people. That's the whole goal, is to help you get to the next level with your photography. I'm able to see stuff in your pictures that you don't see, that you won't see, that you can't see. And the fact that this whole thing I'm doing for the people who become members for $5 a month, you get access to these members only live streams where you get to hang out here and chat on my thing and see your name, see your chat messages go along the bottom of my screen, and also control my stream like these guys are doing. You're noticing, you're hearing graphics, you're seeing lines coming down and Taylor Swift popping up and all that stuff. My stream controls that. The people who watch me are controlling that in YouTube chat. So if you want to also hang out and do all this stuff to me while I'm trying to be serious and do a very formal presentation, you too can do that. All you got to do is hang out, become a member. Becoming a member costs $5 a month. You can just hit the join button And then, yeah, that's it. Also, I have a mentorship program, which quite a few of you are in my mentorship program. I can take 8 people. I'm at like 6. So that means I have spot for 2 more people. When those 2 people fill, I turn off the button and you'll go to my mentorship and it'll tell you about it, but it'll say unavailable until a later time, because I'll have to then wait for someone to drop off that I've helped enough, that is now working, for there to become a space, and then you can jump in there. My goal is to always have 8 in my mentorship program. Right now, we have 2 spots, so that could be you. Also, I do have a really incredible newsletter that I send out every Saturday, which is inspirational photography education for those that are trying to become pros. It helps you. It helps you. And if you like reading and like photography, I mix those 2 things together and send it out every Saturday. So make sure you're on my mailing list. Make sure you check the show notes. And lastly, don't forget that this episode was brought to you by Carty Crew Merch. Carty Crew Merch. And if you missed my spot that I played at the beginning of the episode, you'll have to check it next episode. I don't want to pump it down your throat, but we do have 2 merch stores. 1 limited edition drops, changes all the time. 1 hardcore collection that has been up there and been very successful. I update the pieces all the time. Check the merch store. Also, last thing, thank you to our members. Our members is the reason that you have enjoyed a 2-hour plus stream commercial free, is because of our members. I do not put commercials during any of my live streams because I have memberships, and my members and their $5 per month make it so I can do my live streams commercial free. As soon as I end my live stream, I turn on the commercials, but the reason that you've been seeing this live with no commercials is because of the members. So if you're a subscriber and wanting to also sponsor these episodes by becoming a member, you can do that too. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to go edit the 2 videos that I shot yesterday. 2. So, yeah, we got a couple of new things coming out. These ones might come out back to back. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. 3 photos each. 3 photos next week. It'll make it so we can get through everybody's photos. You can see I don't rush when it comes to doing these photo reviews. Everybody who submits photos deserves the same amount of time. But let's just keep those photos new stuff, yeah? As mentioned, this commercial-free episode was brought to you by our members. If you became a member recently, you're going to see your name scroll across the top of the screen right now. If you became a subscriber recently, you'll see your name scroll across the bottom of the screen. And if you made it to the end of this episode, if you made it this far, make sure you're here on Sunday, because I'm going to give you this week's assignment. And also, if you're still listening and you made it this far, I want to see your favorite emotes in the comments right now. Leave your favorite emotes. If you're a member and you have Carty Crew emotes, you can drop them in comments all across YouTube. I love you guys.